Who's ready to go to New York? That's right. We going all the way to the birthplace of hip hop, the birthplace of some of the best pizza, and to the best city in the world, New York City. But that's not where we're going. We're going to a completely different city that I don't even know how to pronounce, but it's all good because we out here helping small artists. That's what we do. What's up, everyone? I'm Matt from Diazable, and I do music reviews and I talk about music. Thank you for finding me. If you're new, thank you for coming back. If you're a previous watcher, you the best. So today I am checking out the latest release from a guy called Declan the Celebrity with his debut. I think it's his debut album, and it's called DECSVILLE. I'm pretty sure you don't know who this artist is, and you're just like me, you're just discovering them. Slash, he hit me up for a review, and I'm always happy to help out small time artists to, get their work out there to a bigger audience. I like being that platform and helping out. So I'm always happy to help. So if you're looking for a review, hit me up. But yeah, Declan the Celebrity is a 23-year-old hip hop rapper based out of, I think, a couple places called Poughkeepsie, New York. The New England area, like cities, are really hard for me to pronounce. But yeah, he's out from New York, and he's a self-taught producer. And from what he has described himself, he likes to make music that is very his own world. And so when people listen to it, he likes seeing people's reactions ranging from like, yo, this is pretty cool, to like, yo, what is this? And he is doing a pretty good job of riding that line of like, oh, this is some interesting stuff, to like, oh, this is some interesting stuff. But definitely, no matter what you're doing when you're listening to this guy, he's definitely giving you a lot of eccentric, dark energy. But at the end of the day, it's purely him, and I can't deny it. He really rocking with himself. And so listening to this debut album, Decasville, Dexville, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It feels like you're wandering through, like a half-remembered dream. It's colorful, it's strange, and occasionally it's a little frustrating. Declan has clearly, poured himself into a wide variety of sounds and moods when making his music. On this album, you're getting music that feels like it's like pulled straight out from a video game with its warped sound, with like the song Ivory Rap, or a very lively song bursting with a lot of horns, like on the song Devil's Tongue. There's a sense of experimentation here that I cannot help but just simply admire, even if the execution, at times kind of falters. The opening song on this album, Ivory Rap, it starts off with some very distorted samples, and it just kind of phases into beats that, have a very slow and meandering feel to them. It's a chill and unhurried track where Declan just kind of like appears out of nowhere. It's very subtle, but in a weird way, it also is a bit just kind of like too out of the blue. He just kind of springs up. There's no warm up or anything for him. He just kind of jumps on in and just starts flowing with this very whispered rap style that, has a very loose structure to it. And so it feels a little bit aimless at times, like he's improvising without, a map to guide him where he wants to go, which, in some ways, in certain music genres, that kind of works. But here, it doesn't really work all that well. So here's a small clip of Ivory Map, so you get a sense of just the subtle, chill beats he's got going on here, and just the overall sense of loss he has with his flow.
Both sleeves, you ain't considered the facts. I might just lock you in the crib and feed you LSD. I catch the beat, I don't need no sleep. I creep around in sleeker gowns, knowing no crowd affecting me. Direct the fleet, mad recipes, options in parentheses. Opposite of Kenny G, my melodies.
It doesn't really feel like it's going anywhere. And that same kind of energy kind of follows with the next track, The Potion, where he really leans into some slower, more tribal like grooves, and he's still trying to find his own energy, it feels like. It's a funky song for sure, but the transitions are a bit on the clunky side, and the intro kind of goes for way too long. I will say there's a dreamy, hazy quality to a lot of the songs, particularly Real Nature Parks and Jimmy Hopkins, where these tracks have very ambient, almost like nice backdrops to the songs, and very soft instrumentation, giving the song a very like floaty, trippy feeling to it. And at times, this really works, especially when the guest features come in, like Angela the Alchemist or Double O, that really bring some clarity and some overall presence to these songs. But on these tracks, Declan's voice kind of like almost vanishes into the mix, and he's almost nearly forgotten on his own tracks. And I can see that he's going for some kind of like mysterious, ethereal, like you don't know me too well kind of vibe, but it teeters on almost like sleepy territory than being really captivating, because sometimes listening to these songs, it was really hard to get through them because there's so much not going on, and I kind of nodded off at times. Still, there are some tracks like, the Carousel Part 2 and Rats where, there's hints of his potential with his particular flow on these songs. He sounds confident here, catchy, and he's just really occasionally like locked in with the beat. So it gives the song a very genuine, fun, enjoyable feel to it. One of the reoccurring strengths and weaknesses of this album is his use of texture and instrumentation. Songs like, Bushweed and Placemat bring a very nostalgic, New York inspired, stringy arrangement that really adds life to the overall like feeling and dimensions of this album. And then you have the songs like Valium and Supreme Legwear, where, the softer background vocals and the synths just really flourish and flow very nicely, giving, the songs a very good feel to them and just enhance the overall atmosphere. So here's a small clip of Supreme Legwear, so you get a sense of just like how well he can construct some decent beats at times.
That remarkable costume, Royal South, do you like Nico did Faustin? House him, fucking with the deck he found, frowning with a cigarette lodged in his neck. My threat so is credible, be careful on the net, cause I'm impeccable. Your worth is only known when we said it. I sent Boba Fett to your desk box, knock down the front door, or a sing cutting through the springs on the locked door.
He sounds so locked in with that very like mysterious, ethereal, like synthy background. It's pretty cool. The problem is that a lot of the times, a lot of these ideas are, repeated or underdeveloped across this whole album, which makes the album feel very uneven at times. But you got songs like Devil's Tongue and Buck Ivory that really showcase some more fun and playful horn sections and drum elements to these songs. But the constant repetition and, Declan's vocals are really just not lining up with some of these songs, really highlight the same structural issues that keep cropping up on this whole album. So I want to play a clip of Buck Ivory so you get a sense of just like how his vocals and the beats just don't really lock in at sometimes, and how the overall feel of his album, it can feel a bit repetitive.
Stab you up at the regal, my eagle eye will deceive you. I see you fucks through the people. For what it's worth, they suck the blood for thirst. Yo, Buck alert the herd. They had a verse about they doing sherm, something about some birds. Had to learn through the vermin to hear the words. I feel the burning legs churning through the turf like I'm Bucky Herb.
Ambitious for sure, but just not very locked in. But what truly makes this album very interesting is that, Declan is not scared to, show his influences at all. Like, he's happy to wear his influence on his sleeves and, give homage to those other hip hop icons that he seems to truly emulate here. There's no question that, New York hip hop is infused in this record, and none other than like ASAP Rocky is very present here in terms of just how his vocal patterns are. And then at times he has some almost like spacey like cadences that remind me of Tyler the Creator. And then he tries to be a little bit introspective and softer. That's similar to Drake from back in the day with songs like Valium and WTD. The features on this album are definitely a bright spot throughout it because, he's got collaborators with guys called like King Gus and Anthony Cannon, and they really help elevate these tracks while Declan kind of takes a back seat and let his homies do their thing, and it sounds pretty good. I'll give it up to him. When he can hit his stride, he sounds confident, melodic, and very playful, like on the songs Supreme Legwear, the Appalachian Song, or Placemats. These are some of the most confident and well resonating songs on this. I would say this album is a mixed bag of highs and lows, mixing very dreamy, chill-like, occasionally funky style beats, but sometimes it's a bit messy and sometimes it's a bit predictable. I think it's an album that, on the first listen, you're not really going to get too much out of it, but it's definitely, you need to like listen to it over and over and over if you have the patience. Because the transitions at times can be a bit rough. Some intros kind of just go for way too long. Some of the songs feel like they have no real like map to them, no real guidance. They're just a little bit lost. And certain production choices, like the ad libs he's got going on here, or the jarring background like noises and ambient style playing he's got here can be a bit distracting. But underneath it all, there's clearly an artist who's trying to explore his style, experiment, build a world that's parts, like nostalgia, surreal, and just surprisingly sometimes kind of catchy. If you're a person who likes, precisionally made music that has a really good, tightly well structured format to it, this album might be a bit frustrating for you. But if you enjoy more experimental flows, some moody textures, and a little bit of chaos woven into your hip hop, this album right here might be up your alley. He's definitely creating a world that is very just, his own vibe, and you can't deny that it is his style. It's a little awkward, it's a little dreamy, and ultimately, it's a bit fascinating. So at the end of the day, this album is definitely a beautiful mess of experimental music that takes you on a ride through, dreamy beats, nostalgic like influences, and some playful flows, even if it is not the most not the most cohesive and well-paced piece of work. It's definitely an album that, if you lean into it and just, accept the world that Declan's creating here, you might be able to find some things you like on it. It might take you a few times to listen through it because, like I said, pacing a little bit clunky here and there. There's some interesting things here and there, but it can be a bit of a frustrating experience at times. So I would say it's a bit of a mixed bag. So overall, this debut from Declan the Celebrity, DECSVILLE, I hope I'm still saying that correctly. If I'm not, my bad, my man. I would have to give it an okay and decent 5.5 out of 10. Links down below. Tell me what you think about this album, some other underground artists that I should check out. Leave them in the comments. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to review your music, Declan the Celebrity. And until next time, guys, see you in the pit.